Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. Terry Gallagher. Welcome to this episode of Come and See, where we talk about the intersection of technology and faith for bringing hope to our future. Once again, we're going to look at cities, but particularly today, we're going to look at biking in cities or making bikes more possible as a means of transportation. Why are bikes so important? Just before the start of the 20th century, Susan B. Anthony said, cycling, bicycles, did more for women's suffrage than any other happening in the 19th century. That's how important cycling was at the turn of the 20th century. In our love for the automobile, we've relegated cycling to be something that kids and youth do as fun and as sports rather than being a viable means of transportation. In terms of reducing our carbon footprint, it's very important. When you think of the fact that almost half of the trips that we make in a car are for less than 2 miles. When we run to the store, we run to the grocery store, run to the barber. If we could do that by walking or by biking, we can save a decent amount of carbon, but we can also improve our health. We can improve the communities that we live in. If you ask cyclists what's important, particularly women cyclists, they'll tell you safety is paramount for cycling in cities. And so having divided bike paths from road paths is very important. Having well-lit streets is important. Having the bike paths connect to where they need to go to function is very important. So you can take the bike path from here to the train station to the library. Heck, you can take the bike path 40 miles to parks and to other cities. More and more cities are awakening this. Europe has done this for a while, and there are some cities in Europe where biking is the principal means of transportation. We're a long way from that. But there is hope. There are some American cities, particularly in the Pacific Northwest, where cycling is becoming an actual effective means of transportation for work, for doing jobs, for doing your household tasks, rather than just something that kids would do. But we have to be deliberate about it. We have to consciously design where cars and bikes interface so that there's not a hazard. And so we might think some radical things like we have designed separate paths, but we've also got traffic signals that have bicycles identified and give preference to bicycles. And the thing about cycling is the more that it happens, the more that it happens. And so things that we can do to promote cycling, like having ride-share programs where bicycles are available. Aurora recently implemented that, and so there's a number of locations where you can borrow a bike and then take it to another location, drop it off. You'll find that in cities from Washington, D.C. to Paris to Chicago, and San Francisco. Things that encourage us to come out within community, that improve our health, that reduce our carbon footprint, that reduce the pollution, that's a win-win. Why wouldn't we want to do it? And here's the thing, it saves money. It saves money. The more we reduce car traffic, the less roads we have to build, the less wear and tear on the infrastructure. Bikes don't wear roads like trucks and cars do. So why wouldn't we want to do this? We need to rethink how we do communities. We need to rethink how we do cities, but most of all, we need to rethink how we construct and the infrastructure that we build so we consciously decide as a civilization what is best for humankind. Not simply what is best for today, what is best for the future. So building the infrastructure so that people can ride bikes and be safe with cars around them, that's important for our kids' future. And we can do this now. In the book of Acts, very early into it, in the second chapter, around verse 43, there's a radical statement about the disciples sold all that they owned and pooled the processes and shared as any had need. And we find that to be a very radical idea, and we would never do that. But in truth, we do portions of that, from the sharing the air that we breathe and the water we drink, but also the roads and the sidewalks and the bike paths that we take. When Jesus called his disciples to form community, it was not as individuals, but it was as participants in the community. Making our cities walkable, making them bikeable, reduces not only pollution, but calls us out of our individual selfish selves to care about each other, to care about community. We can do this.
And faith is not in knowing, it's a willingness to learn. And faith is found in loving when there's nothing in return. So come and see, around the bend, look my friend, and what could be? Come with me, come with me. There's so much more to know, so come and see. There's so much more to know, so come and see.